The day my sister placed 3 frightened children on my porch, she smiled as if she were asking for the smallest favor in the world. She promised she would be back in just 1 hour. She carried no suitcase, left no emergency contact, and kissed each child on the forehead before walking away without looking back. I stood frozen in the bright afternoon sunlight, believing she had simply gone to solve a temporary problem. I watched her disappear around the corner with complete faith that she would return before dinner. I had no idea that 1 hour would stretch into 12 years, that those children would become my entire world, and that the woman who abandoned them would one day walk into a courtroom claiming I had stolen the life she had willingly left behind. If you believe kindness can change lives and that second chances should be earned, not demanded, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in family, leave a comment, and subscribe to Kindness Hub. Your support helps us continue sharing emotional stories that remind us hope can survive even the darkest moments. The afternoon had been peaceful until that unexpected knock echoed through my small house. My name was Marin, and I had spent most of my adult life living quietly as a librarian in a sleepy town surrounded by green fields and long country roads. I never imagined becoming a mother. I had accepted that life had taken me down a different path, one filled with books instead of bedtime stories and silence instead of children's laughter. Yet everything changed the instant my front door opened. Standing there was my older sister, Chorus, looking exhausted but strangely determined. Beside her stood 3 children whose tiny hands clung tightly to one another. The oldest, 10-year-old Soren, tried to look brave despite the fear hiding behind his eyes. 7-year-old Neva held a worn stuffed rabbit whose fur had almost disappeared. The youngest, 4-year-old Bryn, looked too confused to understand why his mother seemed eager to leave. Chorus insisted she only needed an hour to handle something important in the nearby city. She promised she would explain everything later. Before I could ask another question, she was already walking away. I waited on the porch for nearly 2 hours before realizing the children were hungry. I made sandwiches, poured lemonade, and kept glancing toward the road. The sun slowly drifted lower in the afternoon sky, but Chorus never returned. That evening became the first of countless nights I spent hoping to hear a familiar knock. I called every phone number I had for her, contacted old friends, visited places she used to go, and even filed a missing person report. Weeks passed. Then months. Eventually the authorities admitted there were no meaningful leads. It felt as though she had simply vanished from the face of the earth. The children carried invisible wounds that no doctor could easily treat. Soren stopped asking when his mother would come back because he feared hearing the answer. Neva cried herself to sleep almost every afternoon, clutching her rabbit so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Bryn gradually stopped remembering his mother's face, replacing those memories with photographs I kept on the living room shelf. Money became my greatest enemy. My modest salary barely covered rent before 3 growing children entered my life. Every afternoon after work, I cleaned offices until sunset. On weekends I sorted donated books at community fundraisers and baked homemade bread to sell at local markets. I rarely bought anything for myself. My clothes grew older each year while the children always had warm jackets, school supplies, and healthy meals waiting for them. Despite the hardships, something extraordinary slowly happened. The quiet house that had once echoed with loneliness became filled with laughter. Summer afternoons transformed into bicycle rides beneath endless blue skies. We planted vegetables together in the backyard, celebrated birthdays with handmade decorations, and invented traditions that belonged only to us. Every achievement, every school award, every scraped knee, every bedtime story slowly stitched our hearts together until we no longer felt like strangers connected by tragedy. We became a family connected by choice. There were painful moments too. Soren often blamed himself, wondering whether he had done something wrong before his mother disappeared. Neva struggled whenever school held Mother's Day celebrations, smiling bravely while secretly hiding tears. Bryn sometimes asked innocent questions about where babies found new mothers if theirs forgot them. Each question pierced my heart. That I never spoke badly about Chorus. I told the children that people sometimes become lost in ways maps cannot fix. I refused to poison their hearts with bitterness because children deserve hope, even when adults fail them. years rolled forward beneath countless sunny mornings and golden afternoons, Soren discovered an incredible talent for engineering. He repaired broken bicycles, rebuilt old radios, and eventually earned scholarships through relentless dedication. Neva developed a passion for painting. Her colorful artwork transformed sadness into beauty, winning competitions throughout the state. Bryn became the kind of young man who volunteered at animal shelters every weekend because he believed abandoned creatures deserved love too. Watching them grow became the greatest privilege of my life. There were days when exhaustion nearly defeated me. Medical bills, school expenses, and unexpected emergencies constantly threatened to overwhelm our little family. Yet every obstacle reminded me why I had never given up. Love had become stronger than fear. On the 12th anniversary of the afternoon chorus disappeared, we celebrated Bryn's high school graduation beneath bright sunshine in our backyard. Friends, teachers, neighbors, and relatives gathered to cheer for the young man who had overcome abandonment with quiet courage. I looked around the garden filled with smiling faces and realized we had built something beautiful from unimaginable pain. Then everything shattered again. 3 weeks later, a legal envelope arrived. Inside was a lawsuit. My hands trembled as I read the unbelievable words. Chorus had returned, not with apologies, not with explanations. She demanded custody recognition, financial compensation, and ownership of property she claimed rightfully belonged to her because I had interfered with her parental rights and emotionally manipulated her children into rejecting her. The accusations felt unreal. The woman who had disappeared for 12 years now claimed she had been unfairly separated from the family she had abandoned. The news spread quickly throughout town. Neighbors who had watched the children grow could hardly believe it. Reporters appeared outside the courthouse hoping to capture dramatic headlines. Social media exploded with opinions from strangers who knew nothing about the truth. The children were devastated. Soren blamed himself again for not somehow preventing this nightmare. Neva stopped painting altogether because every brushstroke reminded her of happier days. Bryn feared the court might somehow erase the only family he truly remembered. I gathered them together one warm afternoon beneath the old oak tree in our backyard. I reminded them that love could never be erased by paperwork. Family was not created by signatures. Family was built through years of sacrifice, forgiveness, sleepless nights, shared meals, scraped knees, graduation ceremonies, whispered encouragement, and unconditional devotion. The courtroom finally opened on a bright summer morning. Chorus entered wearing expensive clothes and carrying herself with complete confidence. She looked healthier than I remembered, but her eyes felt unfamiliar. They carried none of the warmth the children desperately searched for. As the hearing unfolded, surprising truths slowly emerged. Evidence revealed that Chorus had never been trapped, kidnapped, or prevented from returning. She had deliberately started an entirely new life in another country after meeting a wealthy businessman. She changed her identity, built a successful business, and chose comfort over responsibility. Years later, after her marriage collapsed and financial troubles appeared, she discovered through public records that the children she abandoned had become successful adults. She believed reconnecting with them would restore both her reputation and finances. The courtroom fell silent. Even her own attorney struggled to defend the undeniable timeline. Then something remarkable happened. Instead of speaking with anger, each child calmly shared memories. Soren described fixing broken bicycles with me every Saturday morning because I believed repairing things taught patience. Neva explained how I attended every art exhibition even after working double shifts. Bryn smiled through tears as he recalled learning to ride a bicycle while I ran behind him until my knees bled from falling. None of them insulted Chorus. None of them demanded revenge. They simply described what real parenting had looked like. By the time the final testimony ended, many people inside the courtroom quietly wiped away tears. The judge delivered a decision that echoed far beyond legal paperwork. He explained that biology begins a family, but consistent love sustains one. He dismissed every claim, recognized the documented years of abandonment, and praised the extraordinary commitment that had given 3 vulnerable children the opportunity to thrive. Justice had finally spoken. Outside the courthouse, reporters rushed toward us. We declined interviews. We had spent 12 years protecting our peace. We refused to surrender it for headlines. Life slowly returned to normal. Neva held her first professional art exhibition, dedicating it to every caregiver who chooses love over convenience. Soren founded a company repairing affordable medical equipment for rural communities. Bryn completed university while continuing his volunteer work helping abandoned children entering foster care. As for me, I remained the same woman who answered a knock on the door 12 years earlier expecting a brief favor. I never became wealthy. I never sought recognition, but every family dinner, every holiday photograph, every birthday candle reminded me that the greatest rewards cannot be measured by money. Sometimes the people who walk away believe they can simply return whenever life becomes difficult. They forget that time keeps moving, children keep growing, and love keeps choosing those who stayed. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with friends and family, leave a comment, and subscribe to Kindness Hub so more people can discover stories that celebrate compassion, resilience, and unconditional love. Special request: before you go, comment below with the words, "Love stays," if you believe real family is defined by the people who stand beside us when life becomes hardest. As the golden afternoon sun settled gently over our little backyard, I watched three confident adults laughing together around the same table where frightened children had once waited for a mother who never came back. In that peaceful moment, I realized the greatest miracle had never been winning the lawsuit. The true miracle was that abandonment had failed to destroy their ability to love. Kindness had quietly rewritten our story, proving that while someone may leave for what they call just 1 hour, a heart filled with selfless love can spend 12 years turning heartbreak into a forever home.